Peace be with you. Dear friends, today's gospel passage for the Friday of the second week of Lent is from Matthew chapter 21, verses 33 to 43, 45 to 46. We know that the Pharisees and scribes were trying to trap Jesus, finding fault with him, try to criticize him, and on various occasions, they tried to trap Jesus with various questions about marriage, about divorce, about paying taxes to Caesar, etc. In today's gospel passage, Jesus gives them a beautiful parable. And this parable has a great background. Five things to keep in mind. First of all, there is the landowner. Secondly, we find the landowner plants a vineyard. Thirdly, he digs a wine press. Fourthly, we find he builds a watchtower. Last of all, we find this landowner leases this land with the vineyard to the tenants. Now, what do we understand by this parable? Dear friends, we all know that the real landowner is God Himself. He is almighty, He is more powerful, and then He is the one who chose the people of Israel, bringing them from the land of Egypt, planting them in Israel, that land that flows with milk and honey. Now, what do we find here is the greatest event of the construction of the temple. When people of Israel got settled, it was Solomon who built that temple, even though David wanted to build that temple. And then we know that there were sacrifices offered, people gathered, millions of people in Jerusalem. And then this task of taking care of the temple and rules and regulations and the laws were given to the Pharisees and scribes and the priests, the Levites. And what we find, the understanding of this parable is very clear. Dear friends, when God planted the vineyard, the people of Israel, I consider the wine press is the temple in Jerusalem. Why temple in Jerusalem? Just imagine, what does a wine press do? It is squeezing the grapes in order to bring the best wine. You know, if you see the different types of machines that are used, which are called the wine press, a considerable pressure is exerted on the grapes so that they can give out the best wine. Now, when the people used to come to Jerusalem, what the scribes and Pharisees would do, they would teach them, make them understand the law of the Lord. So coming together, ultimately, people of God coming together in the temple, worshipping the Lord, they have to go out and share the best wine they have. That is service and charity. Now, when we think about the watchtower, what does that mean? I consider the watchtower are the 10 commandments that were placed high up there in the temple, in the Holy of Holies. They were the watchtowers in the sense that people had to follow the 10 commandments. And the 10 commandments would make the people keep away from evil. Now, watchtower is used specially to keep the enemies away. Now, spiritual life, who is the enemy? The devil is the enemy, the evil one, who can tempt people into doing wrong things and bad things. Now, when the 10 commandments are there, when people have to go through the 10 commandments, that acted as the watchtower. Now, the tenants were the Pharisees and scribes who had to deal with people. Now, were they dealing with people in a fair way? Of course, Jesus, on various occasions, he said that they were just keen on observing the law and overburdening the people with multiple laws. They themselves were not even helping the people to lift a burden. And consequently, we know the attitude of Jesus towards the tenants, the Pharisees and scribes. So God sent his prophets, and finally he sends his son, and they think of killing the son so that they can have the entire vineyard for themselves. But God is not going to allow that. Dear friends, when we apply this gospel passage to our daily life, what we need to understand is we come to the church, we listen to the gospel, we participate in the Holy Eucharist. Ultimately, this should help us to go out of the church to be charitable, to be lovable, kind and understanding and forgiving. And that is actually sharing the real tasty wine experience of God and then giving witness to Christ. Now, what is the watchtower for us? For us, the watchtower is Jesus himself, who was raised up on the cross, who gave us the Beatitudes, who gave us the best parables, his teachings. That is what we consider the watchtower. The vineyard, we all of us. And the tenants, it could be the bishops, the pope, we priests. We have a tremendous responsibility of delicately leading the people to understand the law of the Lord. And that way, this parable can be very